Welcome again to Joe Stunner Boxing. Michael Gomez Jr. Wins the vacant English super featherweight title. He outpoints Levi Giles, winning a split decision. I had this 95-95, and to be honest with you, it could have gone either way, because from the word go, both fighters settled into their respective roles. You had Giles, who was moving an awful lot, almost always to his left, circling. He was throwing punches. He wasn't really running, at least not originally. But the bigger man, or certainly the taller man with the bigger dimensions, was Gomez Jr., and he settled into the role of the hunter. Giles was the hunted, and he kind of Gomez. It was always going to be a little difficult for him to land combinations because Giles was moving so much. Although again, he wasn't really running. I wouldn't say he was running. But Gomez Jr. was putting on the pressure, and of course, as we always say with people who are consistently cutting off the ring, they're putting on mental pressure as well as physical pressure. And so it proved, because in the middle rounds, Giles started to slow down a little bit, and Gomez started to let his fists go. And there's no doubt he was getting closer, and Giles was exchanging with him, but it just seemed that whereas before Giles was able to stay off the ropes, he was getting caught a little bit more. There was one really good left hook to the body from Gomez Jr. And this was must have been about the third, fourth, fifth round. And I thought, that's the key to the door, as always. You know, the body work is of paramount importance. But English title fights are only 10 rounds, not 12. So he had to get his skates on, Gomez, and he was letting his hands go very well from the middle rounds onwards. After 5 rounds, I think I had Giles sort of 4-1 up, and Gomez was definitely winning the middle rounds. And I gave Giles one of the later rounds. I just thought he planted his feet a bit more, and he seemed to be under the impression that he needed to make a statement, go with the older man. Gomez 28, Giles 26, I think. He just needed to sort of mix it up a bit more, which perhaps he should have done earlier in the fight. But then in the last round, Giles completely, sort of tried to sort of burn out the clock, I guess. He tried to, cruise, if you like. Perhaps he thought he was way ahead. He wasn't way ahead, not by a long shot. And as it happens, the two cars that went for Gomez Jr. were quite wide. I think one of them was 97-94 and the other was 97-93, which I thought was too wide, just too wide. But 96-95 to Giles, I could live with that. I could live with 96-94 for Gomez, but 97-93, 97-92, too wide. But the new new English super featherweight champion is Michael Gomez Jr. He previously won the Central Area title. Levi Giles, by the way, came in this undefeated. He was 13-0 with 3 KOs. And Gomez Jr. hasn't got much pop either. He's a good pressure fighter. He does do that cutting off the ring thing relatively well. And he likes to have a row, but I think he's got 5 KOs in his 19 wins. Only 1 defeat, which was early on in his career. 6-rounder to a journeyman. So it's live and learn, and I think, am I right in saying Gomez Jr. is signed a boxer now? Is he the favourite? Because this was in Manchester. This was at Manchester Arena, and of course you'll all know Michael Gomez's father, who had that incredible war with Alex Arthur and knocked him out in 5 rounds, won the British title. Terrific excitement fighter, entertaining fighter, Michael Gomez Sr. His boy looks very different though. His boy looks, even though he tries to fight a little bit like Dad and put pressure on, he hasn't quite got the pop of his old man, but he seems to have a lot more discipline, which is good. He's hot-headed. During the weigh-in, Gomez Jr. shoved Giles over. Giles just walked up to him and he didn't even get a chance to plant his feet. Suddenly he was on his backside because Gomez had pushed him over. He apologised after the fight to Giles and his family. In fact, he apologised to Giles before the scores were even read, which shows it, an element of sincerity there. Where can he go from here? A British title, maybe. 28 years of old, he's probably he's a good domestic level fighter. I don't really see him going a lot further. But you never know. As for Giles, who's 26, he's got a bit of time to come back. He needs to regroup. This will be disappointing for him, but he's going to look at this fight and think, I should have mixed it up a bit more. I should have stood my ground a bit more. Because even though he wasn't running for most of the fight, except maybe the last round, you know, a lot of the judges, they don't, any close rounds, they're not going to give it to the guy who's moving a lot. And we think about, you know, classic defensive fighters who, you know, are able to sort of diffuse pressure fighters. I mean, Pernell Whitaker is the obvious example from my lifetime. But moving, a lot of movement, especially bouncing around, don't cut it. That's why I think someone like Sonny Edwards, who's a good fighter, if he moves up to the absolute elite level in his division, and let's say he goes to America and fights like the way he does against someone who's very, very good, very, very established, I just wonder if he'll get a decision. I don't like bouncing around. I don't like constant movement. You've got to mix up. You've got to stand your ground at some point, or maybe stay within the pocket but give angles. And I didn't see Giles doing much of that. But anyway, this was on the Boxer card on Sky. Let me know what you think. Leave your comments below. Thank you for subscribing, and thanks for your time as always. Hit the subscribe button if you're new. Hit the like button if you're new. Plenty more boxing to come. I'll do some more reviews. Bye for now.